this special edition of Paba Thoughts for this feast of La Marguerite. Vive La Marguerite! The 17th of October, Feast of Margaret Mary Alacoque. In St. Lucia, we have two flower festivals. We have the La Rose, the roses, and La Marguerite. Now, the church has always been involved in these two festivals. In fact, the very name La Rose and La Marguerite, we think it is the church that gave those names to the original African flower festivals. But they were not always called La Rose and La Marguerite. According to research, sometimes they were referred to in the past as the roses and the daisies, or bachelor buttons. Sometimes they were referred to as the Floridas and the dahlias. Sometimes they were called the reds and the blues. So this La Rose and La Marguerite have an ancient tradition. It's an ancient tradition that goes back in the history of St. Lucia. In the Catholic Church, we celebrate both the roses, Vive la Rose, my La Rose, Vive la Rose, and La Marguerite. Vive la Marguerite, Vive la Marguerite. The church gave patron saints to both of the flower festivals. La Rose was given Rose of Lima. Rose of Lima, who was born on the 30th of April, 1586, and died on the 24th of August, 1617. Now, before Rose of Lima's feast was celebrated on the 30th of August, traditionally. This is why in St. Lucia, we celebrate La Rose on 30 Août. But with the reform of the Second Vatican Council, those dates were changed, so that La Rose is now traditionally celebrated in the Catholic Church on the 23rd of August, not the traditional 30 Août. But in St. Lucia, because of our long tradition, and because of the festivals, we celebrate La Rose on the 30th of August. Likewise, La Marguerite, the church also gave to La Marguerite a patron saint, Margaret Mary Alacoque, who was born in 1647, on the 22nd of July, and died on the 7th of October, 1690. And perhaps this is why in St. Lucia we have this tradition that in the old days, La Marguerite was celebrated in July. It was because it was associated at the time with the date of her birth. Now it is associated with the date of her death, which is on the 17th of October. But in the church's reformed tradition, like La Rose's feast was changed, so too the actual date we celebrate Feast of St. Margaret Mary Alacoque is on the 16th of October, not the 17th. But in St. Lucia, traditionally, we keep the 17th of October. And this is why this weekend we're celebrating the flower festivals of St. Lucia. Have always been excellent examples of what we call inculturation. That is, the church entering into the culture of the people. But in this COVID time, and as we celebrate the feast of La Marguerite, Vive la Marguerite, the flower festivals become an even deeper symbol, not only of inculturation, but of potential for evangelization. Because, as Derek Walcott says in his beautiful poem that he wrote dedicated to George Fish Alphonse, he says that these are two warring factions who are in fact fighting to become friends. Dunstan St. Omer, in the famous mural at Monchy, the La Rose mural, captures this, how the festivals can become symbols of unity for St. Lucia. Just as in St. Lucia we have different political factions, we have Labour, we have UWP, Flambeau, Etoile, and today we have vaxxers who are against anti-vaxxers, those factions. Then St. Omer captured in that mural at Monchy the unity that those flower festivals can bring. The center of the mural is the infant Jesus. And the infant Jesus gives two crowns one of roses, one of daisies. One of rose, the rose symbolizing the roses, the rose, and the other one symbolizing the marguerite. The infant Jesus. So both of them coming from child Jesus. So a sign of the unity that the festivals can bring to this country. And in Derek's poem, he captures so beautifully that potential for unity that those festivals symbolize. In this 2011 poem for George Fish Alphonse, entitled The War of the Flowers, Derek writes, "The battle of the flowers is odorous and sweet. They share each other's powers, the rose, the marguerite." Then he says, "But one thing that is curious is that they never meet. They are far, but still furious, the rose, the marguerite." He then goes on to say, "Their clash is months apart, but soft each flower falls, the rose with its red heart, the daisies with its wars." And this is where we can begin to see the symbolism of the unity that the rose and the marguerite can bring. It comes out in this part of the poem. "Would that our scarred earth could contain such a sweet violence, these flowers fighting to remain not enemies, but friends. Ah, violet of the daisy, no victory, no defeat. Their woundless wars amaze me, the rose, the marguerite." So these flowers are a symbol of the way in which we can fight our battles, fight our wars. The war of the flowers, it says. "Would that our scarred earth could contain such a sweet violence. These flowers fighting to remain not enemies, but friends." And you can just imagine infant Jesus giving the roses to the roses and the daisies to the marguerites. All from the heart of God, as well, from His Son. Unity and peace. That's a symbol, that's a metaphor of what we need in St. Lucia. The unity of differences. Acceptance of differences, but unity as St. Lucians. The flower festivals can be a symbol of evangelization for St. Lucia in 2021 in the midst of COVID.